Hi, this is Mr. Warden. This is Geometry Exit Ticket 32.2, and here we go. So we need to find the length of this diagonal. Now, the three-dimensional Pythagorean theorem is built on the fact that we actually could create a diagonal here, and there would be a right angle here. And so this diagonal would be this squared plus the height squared. Now, that's 5 millimeters, of course. Now, this length is the length squared plus the width squared, which is 6. Okay, so that's 6 squared plus 8 squared, which is going to be 36 plus 64, so that's going to be 10 squared. So that'll be 10. 100, it'll be 10. So that makes this 10. But we could shortcut this whole thing. But since this is this squared plus this squared, and this is this squared plus this squared, and this squared is, that is, okay, then we actually can treat this diagonal. The diagonal squared will equal length squared times width squared times height, length squared plus width squared plus height squared. So we can use the Pythagorean, the three-dimensional Pythagorean theorem, which I'll type into here, which is going to be, sometimes it's called a squared plus b squared, and then that's plus, instead of equals c squared, plus c squared. Okay, notice that this could be considered c squared. And then a squared plus b squared, I should say, a squared plus b squared plus actually c squared will equal d squared for diagonal. Okay, so you might think of this as the x, y, and z axes. So x squared, oh, come on, x squared plus y squared plus z squared will equal diagonal squared. So we can do that. So now we've got 8 squared plus 6 squared. So we'll say 8 squared plus 6 squared plus 5 squared. Okay, and that's going to equal 64 plus 36 plus 25, which will equal 125. So we're going to get the square root of 125. So d squared equals 125 millimeters. And I should say just 125 millimeters squared in this case. So we want d. So the square root of d squared is d, and that's going to equal the square root of 125, which we can simplify as 5 square root of 5. There is, of course, a negative 5 square root of 5 too, but we ignore it because we're looking for actual dimensions. So 5 square root of 5, if you want to know an estimated answer, that's the exact answer. Estimated answer, I'll go ahead and give that. That's going to be 11.2-ish in that neighborhood. Okay, so that's exact. Estimated, and that's the rounded one, is going to be 11.2-ish millimeters. Okay, and there you have that one. Let's take care of the next one. The next one is also a three-dimensional Pythagorean theorem because we want to string some lights from A up to the top of E across here. And we're going to ignore the fact that they're going to hang down a little bit. Basically, we're going to need a little more than this length because they're going to hang down a little bit. But we can work out the diagonal distance from here to the top of that tree like this by using this height, this width, and this length. Okay, this is essentially a rectangular prism that we're creating. I've done better, but there we go. That's the tools we've got. So we're going to do length times width, length squared plus width squared plus height squared to get diagonal squared again. Okay, So, or x squared plus y squared plus z squared equals d squared. So the square root of all of that would equal d. So you can do it that way too. So I'm going to do it that way as well. And I'm going to say the square root of all that. This is the shortcut or the one-stop shopping approach. And so let's figure out what all that is. Okay, so this, let's say x squared is the length, so we'll call that 10. The width is going to be 9, and the height is 4. And this is all in meters. Okay, so we've got all of that. Okay, 10 squared is 100. 9 squared is 81. So now we're up to 181. And 4 squared is 16. So 181 plus 16 is going to be 197. Okay, we're so close to a perfect square actually at that point. Okay, so that means we're getting the square root of 197. That'll equal d. Now 197 is, I think that may be a prime number, but we're going to check that out. Okay, so 197, find the factors. Okay, there's a nice little website with information about finding factors. Here we go. Looks like it's a prime number. It is a prime number, so that is what we have. So we can't simplify it all. So that is the exact answer. Okay, I'm going to put meters there. But you have heard me say that sometimes when you're actually measuring something, you need to get an estimated answer. I'm going to get an estimated answer, and I'm going to use a calculator to do that. So square root of 197, I believe that, yeah, it's a little more than 14. Okay, so because 196 is 14 squared, so d equals 14 meters is the estimated answer. And the practical answer is you will probably want 15 meters since it will sag. Maybe more. All right, I hope that was